Well, hello everyone, and you join us here today at the end of the summer holidays, and we've spent all our pennies. So in looking to buy 5 watches, we decided let's try and do it for the paltry sum of $1,000. Now, Tom, $1,000 sounds like quite a lot, doesn't it?
It's not when you're buying watches. No. Those things cost a fortune.
It does run out very, very quickly, but nevertheless, it is possible. And I had a little bit of fun along the way, finding some cool watches and discovering some interesting brands. So these 5 watches, we've gone for 1 dive watch, 1 chronograph, 1 pilot's watch, 1 dress watch, and a wild card. Tom, let's get going with your first watch, your dive watch.
Now, this is a relatively new release from Citizen, I believe. As you can see, it's a very, very nice looking watch.
It is.
This is a diver. As you can see here, it says 100 metres of water resistance, great for swimming, showering and snorkeling / diving. So that counts. Obviously, there are, plenty of divers out there to choose from, but I really wanted to talk about this men's sport Citizen because I think it's really cool. So there's the Eco Drive movement inside, which we've talked about quite a lot recently, powered by light, and I just think it's a really cool design. I love these really angular lugs that kind of stretch all the way down and incorporate the first link in the bracelet. And you've got a nice chunky crown offset to the top there at 1 o'clock on the case. You've got 3 hands and a date, which people might not like the way it's squozing itself into the 3 there.
Yeah, it's ruined that 8 marker completely, hasn't it?
Yeah, but you've got 3 varieties. You've got a black and grey bezel one, green and black one, which is very nice, and my favourite, a blue and silver coloured bezel, which is really, really nice, really fresh combination.
Yeah.
So I really like that a lot. And it's £199, which is a steal for a steel sports watch such as this.
It is very smart, especially in that blue and white. A little bit confused by the 60 o'clock. That's not how I usually read ours, but I'll let it slide. The angles on the case, that's giving me real freshy fresh Grand Seiko feelings. Everything together, it feels almost more pilot's watch than it does dive watch, but I can see that it has a timing bezel. It feels suitable for diving.
Yeah, it's 44mm across, so it's big like a diver. So there's that.
You said, Tom, you said it came out very recently. Maybe that was so recent as to come in between when I found my watch and when you picked yours. Because I too have gone for a Citizen diver.
Ooh.
I've spent a little bit more money and I've gone for the Pro Master diver. Because this one gives me the Eco Drive, as yours did, but it also gives me 200 meters of water resistance and full ISO compliance. So you'll see it's got the bezel pip on the 12 o'clock, the lume marker there. It's got the unidirectional rotating bezel and all the things required to make it ISO compliant. A little bit smaller than yours. 42mm. Where yours is quite stylish, mine's all business.
Yours looks more utilitarian than mine. Like it looks more weighted towards the purpose of diving than mine, which looks more weighted towards the purpose of looking cool.
And I've got no hope of that, so why even try? Orange minute hand there for you to track along your bezel, nice and clear. Offset crown in a similar sort of fashion to the Seiko 5 aesthetic. Once again, the date sort of eats into a marker, which I'm not particularly a fan of, but I guess it's better to have the date than none at all. A little bit more expensive than yours, £269, which is around $310, but I think that extra spend for the full dive watch capability is pretty much worthwhile. A nice pair of Citizens.
Pretty cool.
Tom, your chronograph watch, show me what you've got.
For my chronograph, I've gone for a Tiso PRS 516 chronograph.
You're saying Tiso, and what I'm hearing there is big spend. All the budget in one go.
Yeah, it's almost eating up half of my £1,000 budget, hasn't it? £385 for this, but it's very drivery. Inspired by classic cars. You can see it's got the nice pinholes in the strap like you would see in a pair of driving gloves.
Yep.
The punchy high contrast black subdials on a silver dial, very racery. The tachymeter scale, who can be without that?
Ooh, DOS over 90.
Yay! Red chronograph hands and red hands on the subdials. Tiso was saying the pushers are inspired by engine pistons, but they just look like pushers to me. It's a Swiss Quartz EOL movement.
Oh, so when it ticks twice per 2 seconds.
Oh, cool, yeah. So you start to get sort of an irregular beat to your second hand when it's running out.
Yeah, to really add to the anxiety of your watch being about to run out of battery, yeah.
High drama included with this watch. Fun time. Look at the guy. He's got a leather jacket. He looks in control of his life. He's got a good handle on it. And you can too if you get this watch.
It does very much look like the kind of watch that someone who does have driving gloves would wear, and they very meticulously put them on before driving somewhere to murder someone. 385 quid for a Carrera feel.
Yeah.
You can't complain there at all. Very nice choice.
Copper feel of a Carrera with a Tiso.
Well, I've spent a little bit less than you, Tom, because I have gone with a brand called Gekota. This is the Gekota C01 Chronograph, and it's the Aurora Aqua Sunburst Special Edition. Because, of course, when you have a bluey-green dial, that adds extra value. As far as I'm aware, that's my understanding of it.
Aurora Aqua Sunburst is very in right now.
I think there are some jewellery companies that are using Aurora Aqua Sunburst in their brand palette, but I think that's a coincidence.
It looks like a lovely colour on this watch, to be fair.
It does look great, doesn't it? This is 70s chronograph vibes, that cushion case, big kind of TV style subdials. It looks like it's got loads of markings all over the place, a crosshatch over the centre of the dial, tachymeters, sub-seconds, wow, all of that business.
Yeah.
And I like it very much. It makes me feel like the watch is going fast, even when it's standing still. And you're like, whoa, this chronograph's going really fast. And it makes you feel like, I imagine that's how racing drivers feel. And in fact, the noise they make when they're driving very quickly.
Yeah, it's got the very hard readability that only high precision instruments can give you.
Exactly, yeah. You look at it and you think, wow, you have to be a professional to use this thing.
Exactly.
Dot near 90, so that's pretty good. 100 metres of water resistance, which is impressive for a chronograph.
Oh, bonus.
Sapphire crystal. A Japanese Miyota 6S21 quartz movement. Now, you'll notice it says Chronograph England. I'm not sure it's made in England. Lower down on the page, it does say that it's has British heritage inspiration. My understanding is the company's based in Britain. They have the watches made elsewhere. And by doing that, they can sell it to you for a lovely £299, which is around $345. So I too have spent a little bit more on the chronograph, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it for that sweet, sweet Tiffany Aurora Aqua Sunburst. Yeah. So Tom, I kind of feel like we're on level pegging at the moment. Let's see if we can change things around for the pilot's watch. What have you got?
This is the Timex times Pan Am day date.
Do Pan Am still exist?
Well, if they do, it's a cool collaboration. If they don't, it's a lovely nod to nostalgic aviation.
Yeah. I wonder if the Pan Am logo has officially fallen out of trademark or something like that, just coincidentally.
Could be. But if that's the case, then yay for the consumer, because it's a nice collaboration, I think.
It is. I really like the Pan Am logo. And I like that whole 60s aviation jet set, the discovery of air travel. It's a cool bit of nostalgia that I didn't experience, but I would have liked to.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's definitely the sort of thing they're trying to tap into this watch.
It makes me think of sitting on an aeroplane, being served jelly by an air hostess while smoking a pipe. And I can't think of a better scenario than that.
So this is a 42mm steel case with a blue sunburst dial, day and date at 3 o'clock. We've already pointed out there's the Pan Am logo at 6, and it's also can be found elsewhere on the end of the crown and on the little facets on the strap.
Oh, that's a nice touch. I like that.
And the crown is nice and chunky, and my favourite thing about it actually is the Pan Am blue on the inner strap.
That is nice.
It just gives it this really nice pop. I wonder if you could just see a little bit of return of that even on the wrist. I'm not sure.
I wonder if you could turn it inside out and that still works.
Yeah. And yeah, it just taps into that whole sort of charming, nostalgic early days of aviation, which is nice. For some reason, I just, I gauge watches on how fun they are. And I don't know, like just, that might be fun to take on holiday. And I could wear that and people who don't know me might think I'm interesting. So £180 for this version. There is a chronograph version which has got a little bit more going on the dial. That's £220. Also free badge, Andrew, so that's good, isn't it?
Very nice. I wish more watch brands gave free badges with their product. A little bit of extra something to discover.
Yeah.
That watch, I really like that watch. It kind of makes me feel a bit sad. It makes me kind of yearn for being an astronaut and stuff like that, rather than whatever it is that we're doing.
Well, buy it and it will make you feel warm and fuzzy.
I will. That's a very good idea. But before I do, Tom, I'm going to show you my pilot's watch. Check it out. So I was thinking to myself, pilot's watch. There's pilot's watches, i.e. what pilots used to need, and there's pilot's watches, what do pilots really need? And I thought, why not a Casio? Why not a Casio G-Shock for smacking about? And so I thought to myself, do you know what a pilot would really like? The Casio G-Shock Summer Lovers Edition. You feeling what I'm saying here? Let me explain a little bit more. Number one, I've already spent quite a bit of money and I needed to recoup some of it fairly quickly. So I was definitely shopping in the sub $100 category. But I also thought, summer lovers, right? That's the best time for flying, is in the summer. That's when a pilot is at their busiest. Earning all that flying money, flying to lots of different places and staying there overnight, pretty glamorous. That's the kind of summer loving that I'd be interested in. But also, a G-Shock has everything a pilot needs, really, doesn't it? It has 100 meters of water resistance, alarms, timers, everything you could possibly need. You don't need a slide rule, bezel, or whatever else it is that people put on pilots' watches these days. I think this would actually be pretty useful. Ignore the fact that it says Baby G on it. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
This pilot is very comfortable in themselves, as they should be in a modern era. Right. Also, if they crash the plane and they need to signal for help, I would have thought a bright yellow watch is a really good choice.
Right, yeah. I agree with you that the functionality, the G-Shock contains all of those things that a pilot might need, but the only connection it has to aviation for me is that it looks like a buoyancy aid or that big slide that you have to go down when the...
Perfect. There you go. It's the Casio G-Shock big slide that comes out the side of the airplane when it ditches in the sea, special edition for the summer.
Good choice.
Let's move on before I have to try and justify this choice even more. Tom, what's your dress watch choice, please?
I've gone for a brand that I stumbled upon the other day when I saw it in a jeweller's window, and this is Mondaine.
They do the train station clocks, don't they? If I remember correctly.
That's right. Yeah. So I didn't know about them, and I was a bit put off by the name because I thought it sounded a bit like a combination between mundane and Mondays, which this is a bad combo. But yeah, you're right. So when I saw it, they do a very classic sort of style watch, which reminded me of a clock you would find in a classroom. But actually, yeah, you're right. It's from train stations. These clocks were found in train stations in 1944 and then later developed as wristwatches by Mondaine in 1986. So they're very simple and just high contrast, rudimentary black hands. But I've gone for something a little bit more kind of classy looking for our dressy watch. So this is the classic in 40mm, but with a deep ocean blue dial and golden case and hands and markers, and I think it's very, very tidy.
I agree with that. I also think it's very tidy. It's a classic design. If you've ever been to Switzerland and you're waiting for a train at the train station, it will turn up at exactly the time that dial will tell you, because you'll see them up on the hanging from the ceiling and such. And that combination of the unspecified golden case and blue dial and strap with the red second hand is actually a really, really nice pairing. I like that very much.
Yeah, I quite like it. I think they have a nice collection. It's definitely one to consider if you're looking for a no-nonsense. Tell me the bleeding time watch. £219? Mondaine.
It seems to me, when you consider the importance of that design, it seems like a lot of watch for the money. And when it is really based around that design, you don't need to worry too much about the mechanics and all of that and blah blah. You just go, I want that look on my wrist, and you can get that with a very nice twist with this particular watch. I feel a little bit disappointed with my choice now. Let me show you what I've gone for a dress watch. This is the Orient Quartz Contemporary watch. It's so cheap they didn't even have any budget to give it a proper name, so it's just called Quartz Contemporary watch.
Yeah,
it is quartz. It's contemporary, and it is a watch, a rather dressy watch in a stainless steel, goldish coated case, 39mm. That's a good size, black dial, just very sleek, sub-seconds. It's a pretty elegant dress watch. That is made by Orient, which is owned by Seiko, so the quality is going to be pretty good. This watch usually RRPs at $250, but I found one on special offer for $85, and I'm going to take that, a very nice looking watch, from an interesting company for $85. What say you to that, sir?
Yeah, that's cool. I often hear the name Orient come up, especially in regards to bargain propositions. The Bambino, is that them?
It is, yeah. That's another nice watch. A really good entry-level mechanical dress watch.
Cool.
But I think it's a really smart watch. It's certainly not going to ruffle any feathers. It's pretty nondescript. But then, I guess, that's kind of what a dress watch does. It's just supposed to be like, hey, I'm here. No one's noticing me. That's fine. For the last choice, Tom, this is the wild card watch. I'm not sure quite how much money you've spent just yet. I know I am pushing my luck. But I'm interested to see what you've got.
So if I've done my sums correctly, I've got £15 left. So there's only one watch that I can get with that, and that is the F91W.
At this point, Tom, that's a bit of a cop-out.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Oh, you're doing what I did. You're playing on the whole, like, look at it, you've got to have one. Do you remember when we were all kids and we all had one and we had fun and how our lives were all so much better? Do you remember that?
Don't believe me. Let's have the lady from Argos explain it to you, because she makes a convincing argument.
Hello and welcome to this Argos product overview. This men's digital watch from Casio is an excellent value budget buy. This watch design has been tried and tested over the years and is still going, as it's simply a great, reliable, good quality watch at a fabulous price. It has a black resin strap and case, making it hard wearing, and it's water resistant too. It also has built-in features like a stopwatch and backlight, and its white face ensures it's easy to read. The blue, red and yellow accents on the face adds to the retro charm of this watch, and it makes an inexpensive gift to a teenager or friend. This is a cool little watch that has stood the test of time.
You can't argue with that, can you?
I'm sold. I was already sold, but now I'm double sold. 2, please. Well, Tom, I'm ashamed to say for the first time I have broken the budget. I've spent over $1,000. I spent about another $100 to get my last piece, but I thought it was worth it, and let me show you why.
It's despicable behaviour, but I'll allow it.
This is the Mr. Jones, A Perfectly Useless Afternoon, which, given the conversations we've been having today, I think is appropriately themed. And one of the reasons why I didn't want to let this watch go from my selection. This is the watch for the person who just wants to waste their afternoon, where time isn't really a factor. You can tell the time with this. You've got the outer edge of the swimming pool, which aligns with those wibbly lines that you see at the bottom. Those are your hours. You've got the person floating in the rubber ring. They are your hours. And you've got the little ducky around the outside. That's your minutes. At least I think that's the order it goes around. And do you know what? I didn't bother checking because I feel the whole point of the watch is to not really know.
I love it. And actually, I'm kind of disappointed that you can tell the time with it, because I just kind of like it as just a piece of work, really. I think it just looks really cool. What fun.
It really is. And I was going to look at what movement it had in it. And then I thought, who cares? Rubber ducky floating in the swimming pool. This is a perfectly useless afternoon, and who cares about mechanical innards at this point? You can get this watch in both 37mm and 45mm, so you can pick and choose depending on the girth of your appendages. $225, £195. So I went over a little bit, but come on. You've got to give me that. Look at it. It's cool.
That is awesome.
Love it. Well, I think to wrap this one up, and also to hide from the fact that I overspent, I'd say for the first time ever, I think we've got a pretty unilateral draw. And that's 2 good collections for around-ish $1,000-ish. And dear viewer and listener, usually I'd ask you at this point to rate who won out of Tom and I. And you can if you want. Or you can just kick back, pour yourself a nice drink, and enjoy the day. Thank you very much for listening. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. That's very sporting of you. You want painkillers or something?